So now we're going to go ahead and finish up 4, 4. And we talked about foiling before break. But there are some cases where we can't foil because there's too many terms to foil. So here's one. We'll start off with an easier one, and then we'll slowly progress up to more difficult ones. But here's one that we can't foil. And let's say we got 3x minus 2 times x squared plus 2x plus 5. Now, why can't we foil? Well, FOIL only works when you have two terms in each set of parentheses. So FOIL works with two terms in each one, so 4 terms total. Now, we have more than 4, don't we? Because we have 2 terms here. This is a binomial. And then we've got 3 terms over here. So we can't FOIL. It's going to be too large to FOIL. So we're not going to be able to FOIL this one out. How do we approach it then? Well, the way we approach it is with what's called the box or the rectangle method. And this is just basically lattice multiplication. I call it the box or rectangle method because we're going to draw a rectangle or box here. And I like to write the larger one across the top, smaller one down the side. So we couldn't FOIL it, so we have to come up with another way of multiplying it, so we use what's called the box method. And you can write the larger one down the side if you prefer. I usually just write the larger one across the top, smaller one down the side. We can't FOIL it because there's 5 terms total. FOIL only works with 2 terms times 2 terms. So this is going to be too big to FOIL. So we use what I call it the box method. It's just basically lattice multiplication.
So even if you were to try to FOIL it,
right, it won't work because if we try to FOIL it, okay, first times first, which is fine, but then what do we do with this middle here? You know, there's just too many terms to try to FOIL. Because FOIL only works with 2 by 2. FOIL has 4 letters in it, and we have to have 4 terms total. We've got 5, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. So 4 letters, 5 terms doesn't work. Now, how do we fill this in? Well, we just multiply across. So 3x times x squared. Okay, 3x times x squared, that makes it 3x cubed. 3x times 2x. Well, 3 times 2 makes it 6. And x times x makes it x squared. 3x times 5, well, 3 times 5 makes it 15. And the x comes down. Now we do the next row the same way. Negative 2 times x squared, that makes it a minus 2x squared. Negative 2 times positive 2x, that makes it then a negative 4, write that correctly here, negative 4x there. And then finally, negative 2 times 5 makes it a negative 10. Now, why I like this method is it makes it very, very easy to keep track of all the pieces. Rather than just writing them out, try to add them together. This, I think, is the absolute easiest way to do these. We always start in the upper left corner, and that should be your highest power. So what's in our upper left corner? 3x cubed. Okay, so that's gone. Now, what about the diagonals? Well, the diagonals, in most cases, will add together. These are both x squared on this diagonal, aren't they? So they can add together. So 6 minus 2 makes it 4x squared. gone, and gone. So you can add on these diagonals most of the time, unless there's some odd power, but most of the time you're going to be able to add on these diagonals. What about the next one? These are the same. They're both x's. 15 minus 4. Well, 15 minus 4 makes it 11x. Gone and gone. And then what's left on the end? Negative 10. That's it. Now we'll try another one. But again, how do we know this? We can't FOIL too many terms, right? We can only have 4 terms total for FOIL, and it has to be 2 by 2. This one was a 3 by 2. So let's work out another one, and these are just simply multiply. And let's look at 3x plus 5y times 4x squared minus 3xy plus 2y squared. Okay, so the same procedure that we just did before is going to be done here. A little bit more complicated because of the different variables, but not really, no different. So it's too big to FOIL, so we need to make our rectangle. Leave yourself plenty of room in case you need it. I always like to write the larger one across the top. Smaller one down the side, and that's going to make a grid here. So we've got our grid. Is everyone okay with that so far? So one goes across the top, one goes down the side. Now, how do we fill in the grid? Well, we fill in the grid by multiplying. So rows and columns go together. So 4 times 3 makes it a 12. X squared and another x, that makes it an x cubed. Next, what do we have? Well, next we've got 3 times a negative 3. That makes it a minus 9. X times x makes it an x squared, 1. Next one, what do we have here? 3 times 2. Okay, 3 times 2 makes it a 6. X, y squared. Watch your powers there. Next row, 4 times 5. That makes it a 20. X squared, y. Next, 5 times a negative 3 here. 5 times a negative 3 is a negative 15. X, and then y times y is a y what? Y squared. Very last piece, 5 times 2 is a 10. Y times a y squared is a y what? Y cubed. Is everyone okay with that so far? So we just multiply each piece together, put it in its box. And there's other ways of doing multiplication. I think this is the easiest because it keeps everything in its own compartment, in its own box. That way we don't get mixed up. Now again, always start in the upper right corner with your highest power. So that's going to be a 12x cubed. Gone. These can go together because they're the same, aren't they? Right? Same exponents. So 20 minus 9. 20 minus 9 is an 11. X squared, y, gone and gone. And then what's next? These can go together. And minus 15 plus 6, that should make it a minus 9. X, y squared, gone and gone. And then what's left over on the end? 10y cubed. Again, this section is much, much easier than the last one. If there's more terms, we just make the box bigger. So if there's more terms, we just have a bigger box. So what do we need to do? Well, can't FOIL it, right? Now, our box is going to be 3 rows and 3 columns, so it's a square now. So all we do is we just expand it out a little bit bigger. And this is as large as you ever have. So you never have anything larger than this. But if you did, you would just make it bigger and bigger. So now we need a square. Leave yourself plenty of room here. And one goes across the top, one goes down the side. It doesn't matter which one goes where. So I'll just write the first one across the top. And then the second one down the side. But again, it doesn't matter. You're going to end up with the same result. So one across the top, one down the side. And now we've got a square. And we fill it in the same way we did the others. Okay, so 3x squared times an x squared. Adding them up, we get a 3. 2 and 2 makes it an x to the 4th. Is everyone okay with that? We'll take our time with this one so we don't make a mistake. What's next? 3 times 6. 3 times 6 is 18. X squared and x makes it an x cubed. Next, 3 times 4 makes it a 12x squared. Next row, 9x times x squared makes it a 9x cubed. 6 times 9, that makes it a 54. X and x makes it an x squared. 9 times 4, well 9 times 4, that's a 36. X. Negative 2 times x squared. That makes it a minus 2x squared. Negative 2 times 6 makes it a minus 12x. And negative 2 times 4 makes it a negative 8. Just like the ones we did a moment ago that were smaller. We start in the upper left corner. So our upper left corner is a 3x to the 4th. So that piece is gone. Now the diagonals are going to go together again. So on the diagonal here, these are x cubed, bless you, And we've got 9 and 18, and 9 plus 18 is a 27, x cubed. Gone and gone. So we add on those diagonals. Now we've got our larger diagonal here, so we need to add these across. So we'll just add these up here. So we have 12 and 54, right? And a negative 2. That goes together and makes it a 64. X squared there. Gone, gone, and gone. What do we have left? We've got 36 minus 12. That makes it a 24x here. Gone, gone. And then what's our last piece? Negative 8. That's your final answer. Let's try one more of these. Then we'll look at powers. And that'll pretty much be it for today. So we have a little bit left to cover in this section. And I don't think we'll have enough time to start 5-1. I was hoping we would, but it doesn't look like we have enough time. So let's try another one. Now this one's a little bit different again. Just the number of terms. So how about 3r minus 5 times 2 r cubed plus r squared minus 3r plus 2. So we need to multiply this one out. And this, by the way, is very, very similar to the first question in your homework. What do we do with this one? Well, it's 2 by 4. So I always like to write the larger one across the top. We'll just have a large rectangle here. So we have a 2r cubed, r squared, a minus 3r, and a 2 across the top. Then we're going to go down the side here. And down the side, we've got a 3r and a minus 5. And again, I think this is the easiest way to do these because it puts everything in its own compartment. So multiply to fill it in. 3 times 2 is a 6. R cubed and another r makes it an r to the 4th. Remember, exponents add. 3 times 1 makes it a 3. There's no number there. R and 2 more makes it an r cubed. Minus 3 times 3, that makes it a minus 9. R and r makes it an r squared. Next, 3 times 2 makes it 6r here. Next row, what do we have? Negative 5 times 2, that makes it a minus 10, r cubed. Minus 5 times r squared, that makes it a minus 5, r squared. Minus 5 times minus 3, that makes it 15r. And minus 5 times 2 makes it minus 10. What are we now going to do? Start at the upper left corner. The diagonals are going to add together. So start in the upper left corner. We've got a 6r to the 4th. Gone. We have 3 minus 10 makes it a minus 7r cubed. Gone. Gone. Minus 9, minus 5. Add those together. That makes that then a minus 14r squared. Gone. And gone. Next, we have 15 and 15 and 6r. Add those together. That makes that a 21r. Gone. Gone. And what's left over? Negative 10. So there is your final finished answer. Is everyone okay with how we did that? And again, there's different ways of multiplying these out. This is called lattice multiplication. I call it the box method, but everything goes in its own compartment. It takes a little bit longer than some methods, but I think it's a lot easier for students to understand and not make a mistake. Okay, let's try another one here. So I want you to work on this one. And we want to go ahead and multiply. So this is what we've got. Now remember before when we FOIL and we had something out in front, what did we do first? We FOIL first, right? So the same concept goes here. We're going to use the box method first. So apply that box method first. And then once we've got the box method applied, then we'll distribute that 8x cubed through. So do the box method first. So that's x squared minus 3x and plus 1. And then we've got the 3x and the minus 1 goes down the side. So that 8x cubed out in front, all we're going to do with that is bring it down. So we're going to use the box method first and then bring the x cubed down, the 8x cubed down at the end. So always do the box method first. Multiply, that's 3x cubed. 3 times a negative 3, that's a negative 9. X and x makes it x squared. 3x times 1, that's simply 3x. And what do we have on the next row? Well, negative 1 times x squared, minus x squared. Negative 1 times negative 3x makes it a positive 3x there. Negative 1 times positive 1 makes it a negative 1. Combine 3x cubed. It's gone. Thank you. Okay, so those can go to, that one comes down. Minus 9 minus 1 makes it minus 10x squared. 3x and another 3x, that makes it 9x and a minus 1. And don't forget, what do we do with that 8x cubed? Simply bring it down. So now what do? Now we just simply distribute through. So go ahead and distribute through. And if I distribute through, we have 3 times 8. That makes it a 24. 3 and 3 makes it x to the 6th. 8 times a negative 10, well, that's a negative 80. 3 and 2 more makes it x to the 5th. 8 times 9, well, 8 times 9 is a 72. 3 and 1 more makes it x to the 4th. 8 times a negative 1, well, that's a minus 8. No other x's, so that's a minus 8x cubed there.
Wait, how is it 72x?
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, 8 times 9. 8 times 9 is at 72, isn't it?
Yeah. I was just confused. I got 6x instead of 9x.
Okay, let's make sure. Did I add wrong? Oh, I did, didn't I? Let's make sure those go together. Yep, my mistake. I wasn't careful. Sorry about that. That should be a what? Yep. I rarely make mistakes, but yep, I did. That was my mistake. That should be a what there? Sorry about that. Adding those together, that should be a 6x, shouldn't it? I just wasn't thinking and wrote down a 9 there. And then when we take 8 times 6, well, 8 times 6, that's going to make that a 48, right? Sorry about that. Yep, that was my mistake there. And I just wrote down the 9 because I was thinking about multiplying, so sorry about that. So is everyone okay with how we did that? Let's do 2 more. We've got enough time to do 2 more, I think. The next 2 we're going to look at, we're going to have to FOIL and then use the box method. So these have extra steps involved. And we should have enough time to do 2 of these. About 4x minus 3 quantity cubed. So that's what I want you to multiply. We'll do 1 with a 3 power with a cube. We'll do 1 with a 4th power. If we have time, and we should have time. And then before you leave today, I've got homework to pass back. So if you haven't picked up your homework in a while, or you turned in homework last class period, I've got it all graded. So let's focus now on this question. Well, if it was squared, we'd write it out twice. If it's cubed, we have to write it out 3 times. So we're going to have to write this out 3 times. And then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to FOIL. So we're going to take these first 2 here and we're going to FOIL. So these 2 right here are going to be FOILed. So we're going to take those 2 and we're going to FOIL. Then we'll just bring down that 4x minus 3. So we take the 2 first ones and we FOIL them. So we're going to FOIL out first here. So let's go ahead and just take that first 2. That third one just comes down. It's going to come along for the ride. So let's do the first 2 together. Then we'll use the box method. So 4 times 4 makes it a 16. X squared. Outside and outside makes it a minus 12. X. Inside and inside, which is here, we have another minus 12x. And finally, last times last, negative and negative 3 makes it a positive 9. The middles can go together. And now we've got 16x squared minus 24x plus 9, and don't forget that 4x minus 3, that is just going to come down. So is everyone all right with what we did there? So we did the first two, we FOILed them. Now what do you think we're going to have to do? Yep, now we have to apply the box method. And again, these are not difficult, but they take a little bit of time. And it's easy to make a sign error. So 16x squared minus 24x, and a 9 is going across the top. 4x and a minus 3 goes down the side. Okay, so 16 times 4, I believe that's a 64. Always like double check myself, so that's going to be a 64 x cubed. Then we've got 4 times a negative 24. That makes it a negative 96x. 4 times 9 is a 36. Oh, sorry, that should be an x squared. My mistake. So that should be a minus 96x squared. 4 times 9 is a 36x. Next row, we've got 16 times that negative 3. That makes it a minus 48x squared there. Negative 24 times a negative 3. Negative and negative makes it a positive 72x. And negative 3 times 9 makes it a minus 27. Okay. Almost done. Rewrite it as 64x cubed. Gone. We've got 96 and 48. That makes it a minus 144x squared. 36 and 72 makes it a positive 108x. And then a minus 27 on the end. One more. And this one's going to be a power of 4. And I'll make the number smaller so it's going to be easier to work with. And before you leave today, again, I've got quite a bit of homework to pass back. Before you leave today, I'll make sure you get that back. So the next one I'm going to use smaller numbers on, make it pretty easy. And let's try to multiply. How about x minus 2 raised to the 4th power? And I'm trying to make it easier so we don't get huge, huge numbers here. So the numbers should all be fairly small. If it's raised to the 4th power, what are we going to have to do? Yep, write it out 4 times. We're going to have to FOIL twice and then apply the box method. But when we FOIL twice, we're going to be only basically doing it once because the other one's going to be the same. So we're going to write this out as x minus 2, x minus 2, x minus 2, and x minus 2. And we're going to take both of these and we're going to FOIL. Now the good part about these is they're the same, right? So if I FOIL this set, it's going to be the same as foiling this set. So we've got x minus 2 times x minus 2. We're going to write this over to the side. And then we're going to FOIL. So x times x is x squared. X times a negative 2 is a minus 2x. Negative 2 times x, that's a minus 2x again. Negative and negative makes it positive 4. These can go together. And that is now x squared minus 4x plus 4. The next two are the same, so we don't have to FOIL twice because we've already done it. And so we can write it down again. So why do we have to FOIL twice? We don't. We just do it the once because they're the same. Okay, so what do we need to now do? Well, now we need to apply our box method. And when we apply the box method, it's going to be a 3 by 3. So we'll need to make a nice square here to work with. And one goes across the top, one goes down the side. And we're almost done here. This will be our last question. Let me move it so you can see it here. I don't want to go too fast. Just move that up a bit. Okay, that way you can still see it if you need it. And what are we going to do? We're going to multiply across. And by the way, this section is a lot easier. It's a lot more important. Now, what we covered in 4.1 is important, and you'll see it a little bit in college algebra, but 4.4, which is actually in this textbook is 4.5 because they changed the order, this is probably one of the most important sections. You have to know how to FOIL and use that box method. So very, very important on this one. Not so much in 4.1, but we still needed to cover it because exponents do come up once in a while. So multiplying x squared and x squared, x to the 4th. X squared and negative 4 makes it a minus 4x cubed. X squared times 4, that makes it 4x squared. Next row, repeating it, minus 4x squared. And another x makes it an x cubed. Okay. This can go together again. Minus 4x times a minus 4x. Negative and negative makes it a positive x squared. Notice that go together. Minus 4 times 4. That leaves you with a minus 16x there. Next row, we've got a 4x squared. Negative and positive makes it a minus 16x. And 4 and 4 makes it, 4 times 4 makes it another 16, doesn't it? Okay. Now we can just combine like terms. Always add on those diagonals. Start at the upper left corner. So x to the 4th is up here, gone. Minus 4 and minus 4 makes it a minus 8x cubed. Gone, gone. And then we've got 16 and 4 and another 4. That should make it a 24x squared. Minus 16 and minus 16. That should make it a minus 32. 16 and 16. That makes it a minus 32. X. Don't forget about that x part. And then finally we have a 16. So what's our homework? Well, our homework is 4.1, should be able to do them all, and 4.4.